What do you say, buddy? Ready for another show?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. What do you say, buddy? Ready for another show?
Okay, go.
And welcome back, everybody. Another fantastic episode of Charting Crypto with Cheds. Here with my main man, Big Jonas. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Cheds, how are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. I think we had a pretty good show last time. How do you think it went?
I think it was great. I'm excited to do another one with you.
Excellent. I think we had some nice features. I know you and I have been talking about kind of different things we want to do, you know, as the show evolves and hopefully improves each time. Just want to briefly thank everyone for coming here. If you like what we do on YouTube, I would just encourage you guys to go ahead and check me out on Twitter, and you will find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Put a lot of nice charts out there for you guys. I really enjoy interacting with you as well. I have a blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com, which isn't loading right now, but that don't stop me. I wrote a great article here, The Complete Beginner's Guide to Cryptocurrency Trading. And there's a great deal of information here for you guys to get started. Chart basics, beginner mistakes, different websites. I go over all the different exchanges you can use. And once again, subscribe on Twitter. Big Jonas, there are a couple news events you wanted to talk about. What was it you had in mind today?
Yeah, Cheds, a couple little articles online kind of caught my eye today. The first one is whenever I see, some important financial officer at a large bank talking shit about crypto, talking FUD, these are things that you constantly see, always see the big banks basically trying to throw shade on crypto and Bitcoin especially. Another example, Visa's chief financial officer told mainstream media that he thinks Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are used by every crook and dirty politician. And this is just another example of, honestly, I feel these are banks being threatened by what crypto can do in terms of how they can directly compete with their business model. Another piece of news that kind of caught me was Peter Thiel. He's a big player in Silicon Valley, very influential, and also a very big Bitcoin investor. He's talking with CNBC, and he basically feels that Bitcoin can be a hedge against the world if the world fell apart from some, who knows what could possibly happen. And that's one of those things that I actually agree with. I think Bitcoin long-term can be that hedge. And, these are two news stories that caught my eye that I wanted to share with our viewers.
Excellent. I think those are some important topics to kind of keep an eye on. I think you make a good point. I think the powers that be, they're not going to give up their control, their hegemony, without a fight. So, I just want to remind everybody before we go too much further, what I'm trying to do here. Just want to make sure you guys know I'm not an advisor. I'm just a guy who loves to chart. I love studying the price action, and I enjoy teaching it. And what I'm trying to do is teach you guys, how to read charts and make your own calls. I'm not going to be the guy to tell you when to buy and sell, but I would like to give you some basic tools, for you guys to be able to do that. So, for example, in my my guide here, beginner's guide, it talks about my method, and you're going to see us discuss that today. Bollinger Bands, trying to figure out when is something overbought, when is something oversold, and how do you do that. And like I said, I want to teach you guys to develop your own instincts, and that's what we're all about. If you appreciate what we do, and you wanna say thank you, there is a link at the top of the blog, the donation link, if you guys want to check that out. But I think we should go ahead and get started right now and jump right into it. And Bitcoin's making an interesting move right now. What I have here in front of me, Big Jonas, is I'm looking at a 1 hour Bitcoin chart on the Coinbase server, and it looks to me like it's getting right there to testing that lower trend line. So we have kind of like a rising wedge. What are you seeing on your end?
You know, Cheds, we've been following this one all day today, kind of debating a lot of the conflicting signs that Bitcoin's been showing us. We're seeing some positive bullish signs, and that's being conflicted with some really bearish signs as well. Kind of surprised that, well, actually, I should say this. We were expecting, or at least I was expecting, this kind of pullback here. You saw it through the day several times to try to break through that 85, 75, 85, 85 range. Got rejected a couple times. A few wicks there were kind of giving it away. And it seems basically about 4 hours ago, the bulls kind of just tired out, and the bears are taking over right now.
All right, I think we're definitely at a kind of a critical point here. Real quickly, guys, that was Big Jonas. He's my good buddy. We've been trading crypto for quite a while, and he brings a lot of different perspectives to the table, and I think it creates a nice conversation. So that's Big Jonas. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to quickly jump back to the daily chart, and then I'll ask you to take us through the depth chart on GDAX, and we can kind of get a feel for the sentiment. But you know, the daily chart, the candle just closed here, and it looks like a spinning top. I think we have a spinning top here. We had yesterday, we had that nice hammer, a morning star, and we have this kind of a spinning top. And a spinning top, it basically just means indecision. So it's trying to figure out what it wants to do. And so while you're trying to figure out what it wants to do, while it's trying to figure out what it wants to do, you can try to draw a trend line. We have a little pattern here, the 1 hour wedge. I think it does look like we're getting close to oversold, Big Jonas, here in the 1 hour. So I mean, it's pretty reasonable to assume it might hold this lower trend line here. You know, because you got 1, 2, 3. It held it 3 times. What do you think?
This is a risky moment right now. Basically, we've seen over the past several days, there seems to be kind of a well-timed dump. It had been quite a while since we kind of saw a candle like this, especially on the 1 hour, and that closed pretty nasty because that was pretty engulfing of a lot of the progress that Bitcoin was able to make through the afternoon. And it has a little more time now to kind of try and find if it can find a little support here. It is still on an upward trend here, or on an upward wedge as we speak. However, only time will tell, and I think we'll get that notice in the next couple of hours of which direction we're going to be facing here.
Isn't it? But is it rising wedge? Is that not an inherently bearish pattern? A rising wedge?
Well, that's the thing. You would think, oh, it's on an uptrend, so therefore, you know, we must be in a very uptrend bullish pattern here.
Right.
But there are several examples, and quite recently, Bitcoin has shown us this, that a rising wedge kind of is preceded by significant dumping. I would not be surprised if this is another example of that.
Wedge continuation. Okay. Let's take a quick peek at the 15-minute, and then maybe you can walk us through the depth chart, and we will move on. And guys, if you're listening, this is Cheds.
This is Jonas.
And that's Jonas. Glad you guys joined us today. We're going to do a lot of chart requests today. That's what I'm all about. I want to make sure you guys are happy, you get what you need. So let's see here. Are you guys hearing an echo in my voice? Is that what I'm seeing in the chat? Well, we're gonna try to work on that for you. I'm going 15-minute chart right now. 15-minute chart to me, Big Jonas. It looks like we had a nice flagpole here. Some nice long sideways, sideways continuation, and then boom, and you're dropping right below the Bollinger Band. But as what jumped out to me is you see how the candles are getting smaller and smaller. We're only 9 minutes here into this third candle, but you see how the big red candle, second one's smaller. See how the range is getting tighter, which would kind of suggest it's consolidating. And given the stochastics here, if I had to guess, I think it holds here. What does this tell you in the 15-minute?
Yeah, the rate of decline is clearly slowed on Bitcoin. at least starting in this 15-minute trend. We might actually put in our first green candle on the hour. This is clearly a situation here where I'd call it almost two little tweezers, basically finding support here at the 8270 range. And this would be a good example of, a slightly bullish divergence change here. If these two candles can hold this range, wouldn't be surprised if you start to see an uptick. But then again, Bitcoin in these moments where it's correcting after a move through the day, these are the times where it can break down quite easily.
Let's so if we're trying to take a look here and gauge strength, Big Jonas, why don't we take a look at the depth chart in GDAX? If my theory is right, we should see a slightly bullish L2. You would concur?
Pulling up the GDAX depth chart here and looking at Bitcoin, and this is a great way to basically determine what's the mood of the market here. If I minus out all the way on the GDAX depth chart, what I like to look at here is kind of the angles of the depth chart. Now, what the depth chart shows, one thing, it's where the money is.
Are we on a 5-minute or a 15-minute?
Well, this doesn't really matter. What it's really showing here is you're basically showing how far down the money goes. So when we're zoomed all the way out, you're basically seeing all the money stacked on Bitcoin all the way down to $2,500 and all the way up to $14,000. So you're basically having some sort of idea of where the money is parked. And what this shows me is a lot of the money is parked at a lower price point because that's where people plan to load up. They don't have a lot of sells already set at a higher price point because they're not ready to do that yet. So in a bullish momentum, you would see this completely flipped, where the slope of the green would be a lot tighter and lower, and the angle of the red would be a lot higher. That would basically symbolize all the profit that is stacked up at a higher rate, willing to take profit from the lower buy.
So if I had my theory and I jumped over here and I'd see this, I'd think, oh, maybe we're not really that strong yet. I mean, the candle looks nice so far here, right? But we haven't closed it out. We got 4 minutes left, and I don't really see the strength yet. I mean, if I zoom in, am I seeing any kind of shift? I mean, not really. So, well, that's some good analysis.
Well, if you zoom in, let's go all the way in here. And let's take a different perspective here. Now, what I'm seeing here is, look at that. I'm actually seeing something a little more bullish in the short term. That's why we're kind of seeing this price stabilization happen right now, where a lot of the short-term buying is now being propped up to sell for profit at a little higher. That's why it's great to kind of zoom in and zoom out, and you get much more of a broader perspective. What this is showing me is short-term, the bulls are trying to hold it up, but as I zoom out, I see clearly we're still in this bearish pattern.
So this might look good then on the 15 minutes. So my theory is pretty sound. Then I would come here, I'd look, it looks like we're trying to push back. This is, like you said, the angle's lower. This is a short-term bullish. So that would suggest we're probably going to hold this area.
That's what I see as well, yes.
So let's jump over to, let's go do Litecoin next. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Let's see how the daily candle closed. I mean, it's going to be similar to Bitcoin, no doubt, but let's go ahead and take a look at that. I've got some type of a pattern here. I'll leave that in, but yeah, I mean, look, it's the same thing. So we got these spinning tops on the majors. I'm sure Ethereum's going to be the same deal. Spinning top, yeah. They all had that. Hammer and the spinning top. So it's indecision, and we can kind of zoom in. We'll go 4-hour Litecoin. I'm sure this trend will hold in the 1 hour. I mean, it's the same thing as Bitcoin. So we're kind of doing the same thing. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here in the 1 hour? 4-hour daily for Litecoin, Jonas?
Yeah, the first thing I wanted to bring up about Litecoin is Litecoin seemed to be slightly diverging more bullish than Bitcoin was yesterday. Kind of saw that through the day. It was almost hovering at a 2 to 3% of pace above the move of Bitcoin. And what I've noticed kind of recently is that that advantage has kind of slowed down, almost losing a little bit of ground here. And basically almost feels like Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ether are right now very much falling in sync in terms of a trading pattern.
Let's quickly review Ether, and then I want to have you take a look at the longs and the shorts for us. And then I think we can jump over to some altcoins. So we already looked at the Ethereum daily, and we've got that hammer, we've got the spinning top. 4 hour is bearish from now. This is a little different. No, it's about the same. Well, let me see here. The 4 hour. Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's a little bit of variance. Ethereum on the 4 hour looks more bearish to me than the Litecoin 4 hour. Is that what you're seeing, or is that just my eyes?
This is one that we've been watching for a while. I think the thing with Ethereum is that it had such an amazing run. It really hasn't had its major correction that we kind of saw Litecoin have when it really took a tumble from 420 down to 100. I think we are seeing a little more bearishness in Ether, mainly because it probably has a little more farther to drop, relatively speaking, on this correction.
Yeah, I mean, just the biggest point, if you look in your 4 hour chart, Jonas, you see how we had 8 o'clock, 3:15, we had these, these two big candles here. And on the second peak, where it kind of was like a mini buy signal for Litecoin, where it broke the peak here, right, 167. Ethereum, it's just like the same peak. It didn't really, it didn't go anywhere. So there was not a lot of enthusiasm on this quote unquote. I mean, look what it did here. I mean, you went all the way from bottom channel to top channel, and you pretty much gained like $30. So that was not an impressive run there by Ethereum. I'm going to run, like I do, I'm going to run through some altcoins real quick that I know will be asked about. I know you and I have talked about ADA. 4 hour on ADA. I'm going to zoom out daily. I'm just curious about this candle that we just got. Yeah, I mean, the daily looks bad. Daily looks bad. 4 hour kind of looks okay, but there's no strength. I mean, maybe it's the first half of a rounded bottom. I don't know. What do you think on the 4 hour, Jonas?
Yeah, we talked about ADA, I believe, on our last program, kind of debating the fact, are we kind of hold at this historic rate? Actually, I think we were talking about that when it was more around 2,800 Satoshi. Broke through that pretty easily. Listen, ADA has not found a bottom yet. I think it is kind of retest the next historic support somewhere in the 1,200 to 1,500 Satoshi range.
1,200 to 1,500. You're a tough guy to please. I know we talked about this before. 12 to 5. I mean, you could. Yeah. Okay.
I just think that this is a prime example, and boy, did it have an amazing run. But this is a prime example where this is one that could retrace the full, 80 to 90% to even more before it finds its absolute bottom, and honestly becomes a much better value than where it seems like it is right now.
Could do the full Ginsburg. Let's take a look at, we'll do a couple popular ones. I mean, Bcash, whatever, it's going to be the same, right? Maybe not. Okay, I'm checking out the daily. Yeah, I mean, it pretty much looks the same. There's really not much to talk about, and I'm generally not a big fan of Bcash, so I'm not going to put too much energy there. Let's do ENG, Big Jonas, ENG BTC. Enigma, 4 hour. Reason why, guys, by the way, this is Cheds, and I'm here with Big Jonas.
Hey, everybody.
Charting Crypto with Cheds, episode 4. Live from, where are we this week? We're in Mexico, or are we in Bahamas?
Which one's sunnier right now?
Yeah. It's got to be somewhere sunnier than here. So, Enigma, I mean, you're trying to find a bottom here. I mean, you're trying to round out, but I mean, you haven't seen volume, right? What you want to see in a bottom. Typically, a bottom area is you want to see volume, right? So you see our previous double peak here, Big Jonas 38. We got the double peak, volume cluster, and look at the same thing, as well here in the 4 hours. So that would lead you to believe we're trying to form a bottom. What would you say?
Yeah, this is one that really is just trying to find its bottom here. It's interesting when you look at charting and you pull up an alt, you get all different examples of other exchanges you can be on. It's very important to find an exchange that has the most historical data on an alt. That's going to give you a lot more perspective. Using this one we just talked to an example, it was only put on the Bittrex exchange just like a couple months ago or a few weeks ago, where there's so much more data on other exchanges. So it's important to basically get the most historic data possible.
Okay. Let's jump over to DGD. Digix DAO looks pretty good. We had these big early gains. Looks like this happened since our last show. We have these big, It charges up and it pulls back because you see how high it was above that upper Bollinger Band. Big Jonas, that's kind of unsustainable. So you had those big, surges above the Bollinger Band, but it hasn't really given it back. It's still holding its gains. Meanwhile, while the stochastics is resetting, this is kind of textbook, actually. So if this, in my view, if this was able to hold kind of anything above like 46, that would be very bullish to me by the time the stochastic reaches bottom channel. What are you seeing there?
This is a great looking chart. I love this one for one important reason. It has consistent volume. It's had a major run in February and then again a month later. You don't really see that a lot with the alts unless you have some real money flow behind it. This is one that just seems to keep on cruising upward, resetting, coming back to a normal, probably Fibonacci retrace area, and then punching through again. This is a trading stock. This is one that you can basically trade and know that there's probably going to be some consistent volume behind it. The other thing that's kind of interesting is it's putting in a bunch of wicks here, especially in the 4 hour. Lots of rejection when it tries to bust over that 50,000 Satoshi range. I wouldn't be surprised if it's basically getting ready for another reset sometime soon.
That's some great analysis, Buds. I'm with you on that. So we'll watch that one as it cools off. How about ELF? 4 hour ELF. What jumps out to me is just massive volume cluster. And most of it's accumulation here. It jumped right up, and now it's cooling down. I'm kind of curious what this 1 hour looks like. Yeah, so it's kind of as I suspected. We had this big run up, big wicks, spinning top, hanging man right here. You came down, inverted hammer at the middle Bollinger Band teaser candle. But then you pulled here, you broke the Bollinger. But I see stochastics is cool, and the on balance is still pretty strong. So ELF, looking at the 4 hour, it actually, I think it looks pretty good, especially if it can hold 7,500 area. What do you think?
As a kid, Alf was my favorite TV show, so this one is kind of a fun looking alt for me here.
Was not Alf?
Alf. Oh. Alf, okay, I get you now. Yeah, look at that volume cluster. Man. Something is going on here. This is one that I think we also talked about a couple shows ago, and I think what was very interesting to us is how you've clearly shown some sort of interesting turnaround here and potentially some loading up here in this lower Satoshi range.
Yeah, it looks like loading up here. And you see you agree with me. You go 4 hour, you go okay, big run, right? And now it needs to cool off, but what we'll see here pretty soon if there's strength, because you've got this area here. You get the 1 hour in front of you, Big Jonas, on ELF. If you get this area here of support that you'd expect it to hold, and if it breaks if it breaks this area, the run's over. But I think it could keep going. I'm going to jump back to the 4 hour. We're going to scroll down to Ethereum Classic. I know people like that one. And yeah. I just don't. I'm not liking what I'm seeing, but that being said, if we got the spinning top here, if we can kind of hold here, you could see a higher low. So I mean, it doesn't look good yet, but it could show a reversal here. It's clearly trying after that long-term downtrend break. We had the long-term downtrend break, right, and then we had the little peak. And it's trying, right? But now we need to start seeing higher lows. Is that what you're seeing, big buddy?
Yeah, this one has really come back pretty hard since its epic run back in February. Does clearly seem like it's trying to find a bottom here. I think what you kind of have to keep an eye on here is that a lot of that run, was it FOMO? Was it the creation of and also, was it running on the piggyback of Ethereum itself? I think that was something that was kind of interesting when we watched the epic rise. So again, wouldn't be surprised if there's a little more pullback on Ethereum Classic.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that for sure. We're going to go ahead and do GVT. I know someone requested GVT. GVT. I mean, it had a lot of volume last 4 hours, but you got this big upper wick. It gave up about half its gains here. on the most recent 4-hour candle. And the 1 hour shows me this has got a ways to go down. So, short term, I'm bearish on GVT. On the upside, you have a nice downtrend break. You got this nice downtrend break here. So you're trying to get something going. And the daily chart is pretty good. Daily chart is good, but I think you will probably come back to this 29 area and kind of retest support. What do you think?
Yeah, Chad, GBT, Genesis, Vision, I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Okay.
And this one is very interesting. Super volume spike, basically seemed to bounce, right off that 200-day MA that it broke down through back back a couple days ago, actually. Strong rejection candle. Those wicks in the 1 hours are a little ominous. Kind of went up a little too fast there.
Yeah.
It was clearly an impulse move there. This one looks pretty good. This one looks like there's some volume behind it. And again, with these alts, that's really what you want to see. You do not want to get into an alt with a very little volume because you don't have a lot of ways out of that one. This is one of those that, because there's clear volume, I kind of like this one. This one, keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I know you like it, but like if you're not gonna, you wouldn't enter here, obviously, or am I crazy?
I like the fact that there's money flow. I do feel right now, yes, it is a little overbought. I wouldn't be surprised if you wait a little bit longer, you might be able to find a better value.
Okay, I can see it bouncing off 30. You've got support, but all right. But I think it needs more time. Let's take a look at ICX on the 4-hour icon. It looks like it's trying to bottom here. That's this candle, so we could disregard this candle. It's still too young, only 30 minutes. So it's the last 4 hours kind of bearish. It's coming down. I'll be looking for, wow. Okay, so we don't have support right now. We're kind of, technically it's free falling. Not completely, but it's kind of free falling. Yeah, we've talked about this before. We probably said the same thing 2 days ago. And you can review the tape and you'll know we're not BSing you. It's our gut read. I think this is still going lower. I'd probably wait for 1800. What do you think?
Yeah, this one's still trying to find a bottom here. I was a little bit thrown off by that hourly, but as you said, really about halfway through it. Could be putting in a decent hammer on that hourly, which would coincide with some previous support it found back on March 9th. This hour could tell a lot. I'd be surprised how it might be interesting.
March 9th. We were higher on March 9th than here, though. Like my point is that there is no support. Like we've broken support. 1 hour you can argue stochastics is, but like, are you convinced? Does this look like I think it goes lower, but you're testing your last support. This is literally the last support here at 26 on the 1 hour. So yeah, we shall see. What's been on a tear recently, you pointed this out to me, is mana. Decentral land. Let's look at the daily chart. Wow. Would you be thinking about taking profit based on the daily? Or are you like, would you be thinking, you'd probably draw a trend line, right? We're kind of right there. I don't know. This is a scary. What do you think?
Well, I'm loving the price action today. I've had mana on my radar for quite some time.
Yeah.
Mana is one of those projects that I actually feel has a lot of legitimacy behind it. Has a lot to do with kind of virtual reality, and I've read a lot about it, and I almost feel like it's one of those coins that actually might be a legitimate, token in the future.
Yeah, but what about the chart? You know me, right? I don't want to hear about something that's not on the chart. I always say, if it's important, it will show up on the chart. And I've trained myself to stick to that. And it's almost like I just keep banging my head till I get it right. Like people tell me, well, what about this and what about that? I'm like, well, if it's important, you're going to see it in the form of buying and selling, in the form of price action. So.
One thing
you make good points. I don't want to completely dismiss what you're saying, but what I was curious about is what you think here. Go to the 4 hour on mana, MANA, right? Tell me I'm crazy, but I'm calling a pullback here.
Mana was a chart which almost felt like it could be a dead stick because it had such an epic run and was coming down and was not finding support. So seeing it actually have some decent support and then seeing the money flow come in is a very positive sign. You refer to the 4 hour. I'm seeing some pretty nasty wicks in the previous 4 hours.
Double shooting star?
Double shooting that basically is telling us, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Tweezer top?
You got to chill out here. This has kind of come back a little bit here, but I'm loving the money flow. We actually have some buyers coming back into this coin, and this is one that I wouldn't be surprised has some volume over the next several days.
Okay, I'm just kind of guessing where it might. I mean, you could see it pull back to definitely 10,000, your psychological, or 1,000, your psychological support. But I could see it bouncing before that. But that's an area to watch. Right now, let's take a look at NANO, NANO. Guys, don't worry. I'm watching the chat room. I'm going to try to get through all of these. So don't you worry. We're going to go to NANO 4 hour, trying to bounce. But you see that the last completed candle here is a spinning top. And given the weak on balance volume and stochastics position in channel, I would think it's coming down on the NANO 4 hour. Would you agree with that?
Nano's pretty small, so I'm having trouble seeing it. Let me put on my binoculars here. Oh, there it is. Okay. That was a terrible joke. I agree with you. I'm seeing some pretty nasty candles here on the 4 hour. The double tweezer top.
Not yet. Not yet.
This candle closed out.
Yeah, this candle is only. Oh wait, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
2 candles ago, we had the spinning top. So that spinning top has been confirmed.
But what I do like here is we had a crazy run. When was that? It's like back end of February. Gorgeous pop there. And it looks like we are still continuing to do a correction from that mini parabolic move, let's call it. I do like it is finding support here once again in this, what's that, 10,000-ish Satoshi price range. We've seen it in this range several times. You can basically go back to February and see it in this price zone a couple times. Very interesting to see if it can hold. If it does not hold, look for something in the 9s to basically, definitely kind of come down if we can't hold it. Maybe another 1,000 Satoshi range or so.
I think 8 or 9. I just drew a quick downtrend line in the 4 hour based on the candle closes, and it's we're kind of got rejected, like we couldn't really close above it. So and the upper wick stochastics, I'm gonna guess it comes down, and we retest here at 10.3. If we fail, we're going back to this area like you talked about, mid 8s. So I think that's what we have in store. Let's take a look at NEBL. Let's nibble a NEBL. It's coming down. We have look at this too. I mean, what's discouraging? This isn't that heavy volume, and it's pushing the price down. And look at this big dip in the on-balance volume on NEBL, BTC. And once again, guys, this is Big Chonas. This is not Big Chonas. This is Big Cheds, and I'm here with Big Chonas. So yeah, look at that dip. I mean, look at that dip in the on-balance volume. That's kind of precarious. It shows a lot of weakness. You have the crossing sell signal on NEBL. What say you, sir?
We're seeing some classic divergence here on the OBV, where we're seeing kind of a stabilizing, if not slightly rising price, and the OBV kind of falling off a cliff there, which means we're seeing some serious dumping here and some really solid downward price action here. Would not be surprised if this one's going lower as well.
Guys, I just want to once again thank you for coming, Charting Crypto with Cheds, and I want to encourage you, if you're looking to get better, you got to constantly work to improve your craft. You have to check out the Complete Beginner's Guide to Crypto Trading. It's on my blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com, and I have a bunch of other really cool articles for you guys to read about. Beginner mistakes, stop averaging down. Channel trading, beer money, and scalping. This is a really nice guide to teach you some basics of flipping. 5 ways trading is like poker. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and check that out. I try to put stuff in this guide. If it's not there, I like to know about it so I can add more resources. I want this to be the one-stop resource for you guys. Please follow me on Twitter at Big Cheds. and subscribe on YouTube. And if you guys appreciate what we do, feel free to drop a donation to like over here. Definitely appreciate it. Nothing expected. And I think we should continue to roll on here with the requests. I know people like Neo, N-E-O. I see someone requesting NCASH. I passed over that one, so I'll go back. But NEO. I mean, clearly on the 4 hour, it looks like a slinky, going downstairs. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't look so good on the 4 hour. What are you seeing for Neo?
Yeah, this one had a very nice orderly move up. I wouldn't call it parabolic. I just call it really good buying price action. And the deflation seems to be kind of following in a similar suit. We are finding some historic price support in this 820,000 Satoshi range. Looks like we had some history back there around January 9th through 10th. But again, I would not be surprised if there's some continued deflation on this.
Let's take a look at the daily chart too, just for a little perspective. We're still pretty high. We're still pretty high in this thing. Yeah. I mean, the good news, bad news, right? Good news is you've got a lot of support that you can test on the daily chart, right? That's the good news. I mean, we've got some support here, 78. Big Jonas, do you have that daily chart up now?
Yeah, Neo?
Yep, so Neo, yeah. And so you see we got this support area, 76, 8,500. So we got the good news. Bad news is it looks like it's coming down, but the good news is there's some support. It's kind of what I would say. A lot of feedback. Headphones are too loud. Let's do a quick equipment check here. I'm going to check my stuff. Give us about 5 seconds, guys. And I think everything is good to go. We're going to keep rolling here with NCASH. 4 hour chart. It's testing this support here. It dropped. It found a little bottom in this 360 range, and it looks like it might retest that on the 4 hour chart. It looks okay. It just needs volume. The on-balance volume is pretty good, so it's not weak. And you're close to the lower Bollinger. You've got this prior support here at 363. So this one looks okay. What do you think?
Yeah, we talked about this one on a previous show. I think we were sort of surprised about how quickly it was able to kind of recover from being put on the newest exchange there. But yeah, it definitely feels like it's kind of losing some of that momentum.
Let's keep on rolling here, guys. Let's go to OMG, BTC, Omizigo. Looks to pull back. Looks pretty weak here. We got some weakness, and we are pulling back, in my view. What do you think?
This one's kind of interesting. We are pulling back, and we're definitely in some sort of a downward trend here. Again, we are finding some historic support, and I do like the volume. There definitely seems to be a decent amount of cash flow still kind of flowing in here. Looking at the daily, it totally feels like we've been down this bottom of the stock and RSI. RSI is super low. This one's due for a bounce.
It's due for a bounce. Let's do a quick check back to Bitcoin before we continue on. I saw someone asking about on-balance volume. Looks like it is not. There we go. So if you go to my newbie guide, I have a section here on balance volume, how to use it with my method of trading. There's also a video I have a link for probably right at the bottom of the section right here to watch this video. Stock Goodies Chart School. You guys got to check it out. You think I'm good? This guy's amazing. I learned a lot from Stock Goodies Chart School on YouTube. You can go there and check out on balance volume. Let's do a quick update on Bitcoin, and we'll get back to these altcoins. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour chart. And so we're starting to form a little bit of a nice candle here on the 1 hour chart in a pretty tight range in Bitcoin. Big Jonas, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it looks like we're kind of fall pretty hard there, but we have stabilized. Checking out the 1 hour chart here. We're clearly putting in a decent hammer candle there. Interesting, it bounced off the 55 EMA. That's kind of interesting too. I still feel like this has a decent amount of downward momentum, mainly because I'm just not liking the volume here. It seems like every hour it's a little bit less.
Okay, I mean, it seems okay to me. I'm going to say it bounces here, just based on the 15-minute. I'm looking at, I've got kind of two hammers or even a spinning top and a morning star candle. A little bit of follow up here. 6 minutes left in this 15-minute. I would just say that it bounces and holds this lower trend line, is my guess. And I'm assuming the other majors are probably about the same. Litecoin's holding the lower trend line. Ethereum is trying to hold 600, so they're bouncing a little bit. Let's continue on. A lot of people are asking me about OST, simple token. Let's take a look at simple token right here. Kind of sideways. It's kind of sideways here. I'm not really sure what to think. What are you seeing?
Yeah, we had some nice volume a couple of days ago, which really spiked this thing up. It gives you an idea about liquidity out there. When you see, a decent amount of volume push this thing up pretty high, probably a lot of tokens out there, a lot of simple tokens on the market. Clearly still in a correction pattern. I'm not liking the wicks on the 1 hour here. It feels like we're getting closer to finding a little support, but I wouldn't be surprised if it has a little more ways to go downward.
Yeah, 1 hour, but the 1 hour looks like it's almost done resetting though. If you go to 1 hour, look at this. Look at the stochastic RSI, and I mean you can argue hammer inverted candle. It's an upper wick, but it's an inverted hammer on the 1 hour for OST. So I mean you could argue actually that this is kind of bullish if you're a bottom feeder because you're at this support area right here, right? If you're at this support area right here, you've got the inverted hammer and you've got this long-legged doji. So, and you got this spinning top before it. So I don't know. I actually think it looks okay.
I think it's a short-term situation right now where it is finding some support there in that 2,000 Satoshi range. And it would be an encouraging sign if it can find support and finds a continued momentum from here. That would really put this into a bullish pattern.
Let's check out POE, P-O-E, BTC. It's kind of drifting up here. It's going, we had this big, downtrend. Oh, my line is brown right now, but that's okay. We had this big downtrend, and we broke it. I don't know what this is all about. We had a big downtrend, and we broke it. And it looks like we're going sideways now, which is good. What is it that you're seeing?
Yeah, this one is definitely coming down from its pretty big high. I do like the sideways action. Sideways action is a sign of accumulation, and the on-balance volume has been pretty strong consistently. A lot of holders have held all the way down to this area here. So definitely feels like we're trying to find a bottom, and there's a lot of history now in the 4 hour and getting into the daily here, where we are kind of finding a solid support here in this 350 range.
Yeah, I mean, I see a little bit of bullish divergence on the 4 hour. Are you seeing what I'm seeing with the on-balance volume rising and just kind of sideways price? So that is something to pay attention to. Let's go ahead and take a look at people are asking about Storm, S-T-O-R-M. I'm not gonna use a 4 hour here because we don't have that many candles. So I'm gonna make my wide view a 1 hour. Yeah. So, okay. So you've got 1 hour, you've got a downtrend, like which basically breaks, and you see what I'm saying? We got a downtrend that breaks, and we continually back tested it. See that? So we broke it, boom, boom, downtrend, back test, and it looks like we're kind of trying to get something going here. What do you think?
This is one that definitely has a momentum change. We were clearly correcting from it basically being put on the Binance marketplace. And we see that all the time when a new alt is basically on the market. You kind of see this downward momentum until it actually can find an agreeable bottom. And there's a good chance here that Storm has found that kind of in the 220s range. I am liking this upward trend here. I'm seeing some decent volume, especially the OBV is kind of rising here. There's a lot of solid positive indicators here. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that's some good analysis. Let's take a look at TRX Tron. Let's go, let's start with daily. So, I mean, the daily doesn't look terrible. for like a small trade, and you got the spinning top yesterday, and you're oversold. But there's not a ton of volume. 4 hour. I mean, it's still not that exciting on the 4 hour either, because I don't know. What do you know? I think you're trying to break this middle Bollinger, but I'm looking at the 4 hour. I'm already approaching overbought. So you're not going to really see a run here. What you'd rather see is more sideways, maybe while things cool off, and hopefully maybe get some bullish divergence, there. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at next. Let's look at VEN, and then I'm gonna scan the chat room and get to what you guys are looking for. Last time we did the show, looks like I drew a flag, and it broke below that. But look, now it works. So that's the funny thing about trend lines. You're constantly adjusting them. We're still in a bullish flag. We still have nice, healthy, unbalanced volume. And, it looks okay to me.
Okay, yeah, this one is interesting here. We've actually had finally a bottoming here, and I'm liking the past couple hours here. We're kind of stuck in this little range here. Almost feels like a bullish flag starting to form, a flag pennant there.
All right, yeah, we're going to see how that plays out. Let's XRP. Ripple, we know how you feel about the number of tokens or coins that are in circulation. Chart-wise, I mean, this is really rough. The on-balance volume is pretty rough here, so we're seeing a lot of downward pressure, and the stochastics is kind of inconclusive. I don't know that a pattern's jumping out to me, kind of on the 4 hour. I mean, it's consolidation. I mean, you've got downtrend break, downtrend break, trying to run, pull back. We don't even really have higher lows. We actually have lower lows, which is unfortunate, because there's your low, there's your one low, two, and then you broke it and you're lower. So I'm not too excited here. How about you?
Yeah, this is one that I think we know how I feel about it, but I definitely seeing continued deflation. Every once in a while, it puts in this bull trap that makes you think like we're going up again. I think that probably coincides with some news. They're still trying to pump it as one of the majors. I still don't understand why when CNBC posts their pricing, they include Ripple with it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But listen, this one is still coming down. I'm not seeing a change anytime soon, especially with the way the OBV is acting currently.
That's great analysis. I totally agree with you. In CNBC, we all know that they're on top of their crypto game, right? XVG, there's just no volume. I mean, you're getting you have a trend break on balance volume, downtrend break, which is a sign of improving conditions. But I'm gonna have to go daily. I mean, this is just the longest drawn out chart. We know so many charts like this where you have a huge run and then it's like so many months of like a slow bleed, right? On the XVG chart. Yeah. I can't get excited about this yet. What do you see?
Yeah, Chad, this is another example of one that had a parabolic move. We're still deflating. There is something I do want to look at here. The daily it put in yesterday is actually kind of nice. Had a kind of a nasty wick at the very top there, but it's a bullish engulfing, and what that means, it kind of engulfs almost the full body of the previous 2 days. It could be a reversal here.
Yeah. I mean, the strength of your signal is okay. The volume is okay. So let's keep an eye on that. I'm skeptical, but let's say that you're a little bit more bullish than I am. ZRX is trying to hold sixes here. We're trying to find a bottom. No real improvement in the on-balance volume yet on the daily. Let's take a look. And 4 hour looks like it's probably going to cool off. We got the big upper wick here. We got a shooting star. So I think it might cool off a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, this one's come back a lot. Definitely trying to find a bottom. We are definitely in an area now of historic support history. Looks like when it was on its big uptrend, it's been several days in this 63 to 6,000 Satoshi range. We've been seeing it flirt with that range for a couple days now. Kind of feels like we're trying to put in at least a temporary bottom. This one, though, could come back more, but I am kind of liking that it's actually observing a lot of this previous support here in this price range.
If I draw a trend line on the 4-hour, you can see it actually got rejected. It was unable to close above, right? You see we closed right on it, right here. Downtrend on the 4-hour. You see that. So rejected, 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 rejected here. So this is what you're looking for. You want to see that. You want to see a close above, right? Not just a wick.
What you're seeing there, an example of a bull's really trying to take over the chart again and turn it back into a bullish pattern. They keep getting rejected. A good sign they actually are in charge is if you're able to break that. And as you pointed out, it has to close above that trend line to really show some bullish power.
Let's do a couple quick ones, then we're going to get back to Litecoin. I want to make sure everybody is taken care of as much as we can. ZXC, I'm just going to rip through these real quick, and let's do just a real lightning round. ZXC 4-hour upper wicks. I kind of don't like it. How about you?
Is that Z Classic?
Zcoin. XZC. XZC BTC. I think it looks bearish. What's your read?
Yeah, this one's still trying to find a bottom here. Okay. Yeah, this one's coming down some more.
Let's look at SUB BTC. Oh, did I skip over Walton? I'm gonna have to do Walton. SUB BTC 4-hour. So you had this nice run, and I thought we might hold the middle Bollinger in the 4-hour. That didn't happen. You had a couple nice bottom candles here at 3:15 at the 20-hour, where you had kind of a hammer and a spinning top. So it's could keep going up here, but we're seeing this upper wick on the most recently completed candle. So it's trying to decide what it's going to do. What do you think?
I agree in your short-term analysis. If I zoom out a little bit longer, this one is clearly on an uptrend now. It really feels like we've bottomed, and for the past several days, we're actually putting in some higher highs. It's always a very positive sign.
Yeah, big time. Yep, I see what you're saying. So I mean, we're definitely trending in the right direction. I mean, without a doubt. So I guess you could be sporting. You could have called it this way, and you could have drawn a trend line this way, and then I could say it broke. But we'll just go over here for now and see what happens. Let's do WTC, Walton Coin. Let's take a look. Walton Coin. So long consolidation. I know they had a couple missteps where they had some Valentine's Day program, and they were their own Valentine. Is that what the problem was? So yeah, I don't know. What do you see on the 4-hour, Jonas?
Yeah, Walton Coin kind of interesting here. I know a lot of people talk about it. Had a little controversy not too long ago. Still feels like it's in a deflationary pattern, though.
Yeah. I think we don't know where the bottom is just yet. I'm going to quickly look at the daily, and I'm going to keep jumping around. Yeah. I mean, if we hold this area, we'll be pretty good. You got to hold the 15s. We got to hold the 15s. Let's take a look. Someone's asking about Funfair. FUN BTC. Let's see. Yeah, I think fun's going lower for my money. What are you seeing on fun?
Yeah, I concur. Fun is not so fun yet, but has a chance to get fun in the near future.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did. Let's take a look real quick. I'm going to remind everybody. I know I keep doing this, but please follow me on Twitter at BigCheds. Please feel free to reach out. I like to hear your questions and your feedback. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cheds Trading. A lot more stuff's coming out in the future. Got to make sure you go to chedstrading.blogspot.com. A lot of great reading for you guys. I put a lot of work into this, this newbie crypto guide. I really hope you take advantage of it. Let's go ahead and let's real quick. Let's look at CoinMarketCap. Let's do a refresh and let's just quickly take a look. What is our current market cap? We're at a 330 billion right now. So I think that's down about 20 billion from when we did the show a couple days ago. Anything that jumps out to you real quick?
Yeah, the coin market cap is still continuing to get lower and lower. If you choose Bitcoin and look at the historical data, wow, this 24-hour volume is very low. We just broke over 5 billion. We did 6.8 yesterday and 6.4 the previous day. We are really low today. And if you don't get that volume there, I mean, we're just not going to see Bitcoin. I just don't see it, how it can move higher with such low volume today.
All right. Real quick, let's see. Binance best. I'm just curious, what the best alts are in Binance because I know a lot of people trade through Binance. Looks like Ethereum. Let's see, BTC market. So DGD's had a great day. Let's sort by. All right, GVT. It's had a nice day. I think we talked about that. MTH. Let's do MTH real quick because I think I saw that on Twitter and I did not do Monetha. It sounds like I don't know, like I don't even want to say. It's just an interest, like somebody's name, like me and Monetha.
Cheds, I believe it's Moan Tha.
Is it?
Moan Tha. It's a silent O and a hard E.
All right, get out of here. Yeah, I mean this looks like it had a nice run. It's trying to consolidate. Not a ton of volume, as you can see, but yeah, I mean you know what? This is just like a low volume move. I don't know. What do you see on MTH?
Yeah, the 4-hour looks kind of bullish. I definitely like that there's some volume and the uptrend is starting to happen here. Pretty nasty wicks though, and as you mentioned, the volume is poopy.
Volume is no good. Let's go ahead and we're going to finish up here with some Bitcoin. All right. So let's jump back to like a 15-minute view. And all right, so we're holding, kind of what I thought at the beginning of the show. We had the spinning top, or we got the little hammer here, inverted hammer. Not really inverted hammer. Just a doji. And we are 11 minutes into this last candle. It's looking pretty good. So looks like we're going to hold this trend line, at least for now. What are you seeing there on Bitcoin? And you know what, before you answer this, and then we'll take a look at longs and shorts, okay?
Yeah, Cheds, I really definitely see we're finding some stability at Bitcoin at this price point, basically over the past hour. Bears tried to push this down to 82.18. Bulls came back and kind of held it up, and looks like we're definitely having some support in this 82.64 area with a slightly bullish uptrend here. Once again, though, the volume is just kind of weak. It's a continued downtrend, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more dumping. However, we are a little oversold on the 15-minute.
How about the what are you seeing on BTC USD longs and shorts? What jumps out at you if you're trying to glean some information? If there's some value we can add, what are you seeing here?
So when we watch a lot, and basically what we're seeing is another example of indecision. 24-hour, the shorts are, sorry, on this day, we're basically seeing down 1%. Longs are up 0.17%. Kind of coincides with our current price action we're looking here.
Yeah, but that's just in the last 57 minutes, though. This isn't a 24. This isn't a 24 hours. This what we're seeing here in TradeView. This resets when the daily candle resets. You see what I'm saying?
What I'm definitely seeing, though, is indecision based on where the money is flowing here. If you're a shorter, you're not there yet. If you want to go long, you're not there yet either. That kind of tells me that there's nothing definitive in the price action of Bitcoin yet, and it's kind of a wait-and-see pattern we have right now.
Let's take a peek at Litecoin. Let's see how Litecoin is doing. Litecoin, 1 hour. So we are, what, 2 minutes for this 1 hour candle. That's a pretty nice, it's a pretty nice candle for Litecoin to have here. But we aren't at the lower Bollinger, which you'd want to see if we're looking for value. And we still have a little more ways to go here on the stochastics reset. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one that's kind of, again, we've basically been trading lockstep with Bitcoin and Ether. I do see that decent candle. Looks like we kind of found a little momentum there. and the 1 hour is getting to that oversold point. However, the 4 hour, we are very topped off still, and there's some downward pressure here. Feels like it's going to do whatever Bitcoin does.
All right, so I guess you could probably say the same for Ether. It's probably going to do whatever Bitcoin does. We're getting ready to wrap things up. How are you feeling here today about the market overall? What's your general feeling? If you're someone who's looking to get into the market, are you jumping in here? Are you waiting? What are you looking for?
Feels like there's still a lot of indecision in the market right now. We look at all the coins, not just the big boys, but also the alts. And in the alts, there are a couple that are really showing some potential value just based on how far they've retraced. And there might be some really strong plays there. But again, Bitcoin has always kind of run the show. And right now we're seeing a lot of indecision because we're seeing this kind of low volume price action here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some continued bearish momentum.
Well, that's a good point. I think you have to have a strategy, and for me, we're, like I talked about in the last show, we're range bound, right? We're in this position on the daily chart where everybody can make a case about what's happening. If you bought a couple years ago, you're still a genius. If you bought a couple weeks ago, well, wherever that is, maybe you're down a little bit. Everybody's got a different case to make. I think you want to look for a clear signal, and we've got a very clear downtrend line. The lower trend line support's pretty good. You got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6 touches. So it almost touched it here. So yeah, I think you just have to decide what you want to do. If you're confident, and you think it's holding the lower trend line, maybe that's a good spot to enter. Or maybe you want to wait for it to break the upper trend line. I mean, that's a big time bullish signal. So I think you have to decide. I would just encourage everybody to only risk what you can afford to lose. I always talk about paper trading, which is basically just practice trading. If you're unsure of what to do, write it down on a piece of paper. I bought, 1 Bitcoin at 82.50 and just, see what happens. Practice before you put your real money into play, because you guys worked hard for it. I know you did, so don't throw it away. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming. We had a real great time. We had a great show charting crypto with Cheds. We hope that you enjoyed it. Please let us know your feedback. And, I hope you guys have a great night. Take care.